family show exhibition actually started in Amsterdam. I was there for 1987 to 91, a 4-year study period. And from this photo you just saw was the inspiration for this first installation, where I did my first video performance. I sat in front of the camera. I had a kind of general text from which I had to improvise. So actually everything was improvised, but according to a certain pattern. And the picture transformed itself into 4 drawings. These are pencil-made drawings that were directly drawn on the wall. Very beautiful drawings. I enjoyed them very much. And the show was in the Aula, which was the exhibition space of the Rijksacademie van Beeldende Kunsten in Amsterdam, when it used to be on Stadhouderskade. So they're all pictures of my family, but the fact that it's my family is totally irrelevant, because my idea is that I use the concept of biography or autobiography as a form of art and not as a specific telling of my personal story. I find my story is not relevant at this point. So here you have me beside the drawings to give you a sense of scale. I then came back to Canada in 91, and my first show, the family show, I've always used the image, the photo you first saw in each of the invitation card. And then I would take the whole space and transform it into one big installation. So you have here like supper time, TV, slide projection, and little objects on the wall. It was in Regina during winter. It was cold. I always end up exhibiting in the cold. Anyway, so this is a table. On each chair is a person speaking, and all the speech comes through the 2 speakers, so it just basically becomes noise. And I recovered all the chairs, so the pattern you see is actually something I've chosen to represent what I wanted. The installation with the video, I remember one was presented a second time, but I had to remake the video because it wasn't PAL, so I reshot it again. You have the 2 versions now of that video. The drawings again I did directly on the wall. Very nice drawing. Another piece was all little objects that come from childhood. You know, an object that you would keep for memorabilia, not for value. And to each of them, I've attached a little phrase, typical phrase that parents would say about their children, like she never raised her voice, he never caused any trouble. They were kind of male and female phrases. And this was the slide projection evening, 3 automatic slide that would be in between a few words and images, a few words and images, and the text was something like, if only you had given me the chance to be myself, I could have shown you how much I love you. Why? And you'll see the rest in the DVD. And the last piece was this bed. And as the light is under the bed, suddenly reality becomes very frightening. So it's the reverse. The second show, family show, was in Windsor. And what was particular about Windsor was that you could cross a bridge and then you would be in Detroit. So I found that there was this kind of competition between both cities. So then the bed, as you see, became 2, as opposed to just 1 bed, to reflect this kind of duality. And as you will see, I've built a wall in the middle of the gallery, again for the same purpose. Very nice special effect, the way I control the light from under the bed here. Let's see. And detail, books and furniture I would find wherever exhibited. This little guy, I bought the suit again in Windsor. Winter Casualty was the name of this piece. 6 years of burnt toast, a very evocative title. I like to work with words and kind of poetry of words. The smell, of course, was very important, and I got many feedback from all kind of people about the smell, the memories they would bring. Very nice. And yeah, the dinner table, the wall, and the TV. And this gives you a better view of the whole space. The TV was there, but the drawings weren't there. It just didn't fit with the idea of the space. Windsor being more of a city place as opposed to a rural as compared to Regina. The families are smaller, the spaces are smaller, kitchens are smaller. And I've replaced the tape recorders with tourne-disc LP players. And as you see, the arm is attached, so it only becomes like silent. And then there's this picture of drawing I did years before of a family. The third one, Peterborough on the line, close to you, was the first one to address directly the subject of sexual abuse. And for this, I went to the Rape Crisis Center of Peterborough to find some people to work with. This is a view from the gallery from outside. So the first thing, of course, there would be the noise and the smell, but there's the laundry. Everything's white, everything's perfect. So everything you show to the outside world about your family is always clean and pristine and like no problem and stuff like that. And they're as high as flags, like emblem of the family cleanliness, you know. So everything's nice and perfect. And these are clothes borrowed from different people. From Peterborough. On the floor you will see I had installations with 4 washing machines, and each washing machine was telling about a kind of social milieu, and in the washing machine I've put some Javel water, so we also had that kind of smell. So this is the first one with it was daydream, people wanting to escape in daydreams. Each chair also had the radio playing at a different station. So it's also the idea here of escaping, but of, you know, hiding, drowning the stories behind the noise. And in each showcase, there were 4 showcases. And the showcase asked people from the Rape Crisis Center to find people who would be willing to share their story about sexual abuse, so that the washing machine, you know, wouldn't have laundered it away and finally it could be shown. The second installation was like white collar, the good taxpayer, the homeowner. Everything's perfect, everything's nice, nothing's hidden. As you see on the cover of the Peterborough tour guide. And in the showcase, this was from a man, again, in Peterborough. He was a Boy Scout, I think you remember, he told me, and with all handwritten stuff and things from newspaper. So it was his own personal feelings about it. The third one was more about the family in problem with alcohol or, you know, difficulty. So you have the chair, you know, everything's kind of out of place, and then a wine bottle, beer bottles, and again another radio playing. And the showcase this time was like a mini installation, really wonderful. The lady replaced the glass casing by this white grid. It was written on the board like "Break the Silence," but with BREAK. Amazing little sculpture. And the fourth one was about religion, so the blue chair because of Mary's blue, and there was kind of Bible books on the chair. And this time the radio was unplugged to talk about silence, about people who have lost their voice. And in the showcase was just a sheet of paper telling this showcase is dedicated to those who are living in silence among us and those who are no longer among us. So because the concept of suicide with it. And I got paper and flyers and stuff from the Rape Crisis Center to exhibit it also. The last show, Suite et fin, that Suite et fin is a typical French expression that you find in comic books. They say, well, you know, continuing next week, and then finally when you see Suite et fin, it says finally you're gonna get the end of the story. This one was more focused on directly on incest, and so from under the bed there was a little voice saying mommy, daddy, kind of calling in kind of anguish, like wanting help, and also scared of the answer. Very, very strong. I heard some people couldn't walk in the room itself because the atmosphere was so strong. And just, bedside books. The drawings on the walls came back, but this time was interesting because it was white chalk on a black background, which actually looks like a negative. And with the red light, it actually looks like a dark room. So very interesting. And this was the bed for the baby, and which was, I think, the hardest piece. And I don't know if I would do it the same today, because I had put blood on the little girl underwear, and I had poured wine and beer and aftershave in the bed, so you had that smell, because smell and abuse is very evocative, very strong together. That's very, very gross, very hard. And on the floor was a baptism dress with oil, over it. And here you have the 4 drawings. And like I say again, it's not autobiographical. I use the concept of biography, the concept of family, but it's totally not relevant. This could be any people or any story, but it's the story that matters. And I've put on the floor a description about what is sexual abuse, like 1 woman in 3 and 1 boy in 5 or 6 is sexually abused. And this is a painting I did like in '85.